This is a short demonstration of the prototype project operations dashboard built using the Power BI tools with Excel. So it takes an extracted report from Intact. It will automatically load that and refresh all the pivot tables. And then there's a series of pivot tables that are designed to provide all of the key performance components for operations. So I'm going to take just 5 minutes and run through it real quick. The first thing that we would do after we've run the Intact report, and we simply run it and save it as a text file to the specified folder, we would do the refresh data set. Refreshing the data set will go and load the data from the report for all of the pivot set and refresh all the pivot tables. It does take a moment or two to do. While it's doing that, it does require Excel 2013, preferably with additional RAM than our standard configuration, as well as it would prefer to operate in the 64-bit mode in order to manage all the memory. It's now finished being refreshed, and there are 4 data snapshots. There is the PS Professional Services snapshot, that is the top level view. An implementation snapshot, which is a snapshot of the implementation projects. The project manager snapshot, which is a snapshot of activity for project managers, and then the project manager detail, where we can actually look at specific project level data as well. Let's take a quick walkthrough. To get to it, I'm just going to click on the professional services overview snapshot, and we have this series of tables. These are looking at the entire database of projects we have set up in our Intacct production instance, filtered on projects that have been canceled or closed. Those projects are not included. Starting from the top left, we have a snapshot of the total number of projects, 376, 21,000 hours in bookings, 13,000 hours in backlog. Backlog being the current open budget on those projects. Projects by type, so we break it down between our implementation projects, our add-on projects, and so forth. And as we can see, the biggest number of projects are the implementation projects, 178, with the largest number of hours. If we look at it by vertical, we can see the add-on services, emerging markets, general business, and software and services, and see the spread of projects and hours there. And then we can see the projects by status, in progress, in user acceptance testing, and so forth, staffing proposed, unstaffed, etc. We can slice this particular snapshot by delivery type. This is for everything, but if we look at just the specific Intact delivered projects, meaning that the delivery type flag is set for Intact, the expectation being that we're delivering it directly with IntacctPS resources, you can see we now are down to 314 projects from the 370 and change. So this is designed to give a quick view of the overall state of projects and by the various key categories. Pop back to the index, and because the implementation projects are the largest number, we'll go take a look at those. Similar in look and feel. Again, we start out over here on the left. The number of projects, bookings, backlog. Let's start with all of them. So I'm going to clear all of the slicers. And we have 178 projects for 14,000 hours of bookings. Break it down again by status. Break it down by vertical. And then we also are looking at the projects that are by servicer for our projects that have been spread by our subs. The 119 projects here are the implementation projects that do not have a servicer, meaning they are being delivered internally. And we can validate that by looking up here at the slicer and selecting the Intacct delivery slicer, and we have 118 projects that are going to be delivered directly by Intacct. For some reason, we do have one project where we have a subcontractor for 50 hours with Brittenford. And we can track that one down if we wanted to. So if we wanted to further slice this down, let's go ahead and go back to all of these projects. If we wanted to slice it further, we can see the specific vertical that has these projects. And if we were going to look at the general business, and if we were going to look at the delivered by subcontractors, we can see that we have 34 sub-projects, 1,800 active hours spread across this way based on the number of active projects for the various subcontractors that we've got working. We're going to go ahead and add Intacct and sub delivery mechanism as well, so we capture all of them, and we can see that we've got 44 projects in total that have sub involvement, of which Armanino has 6 for 613 hours, 208 available. Brittenford, B. Terrell, and so forth. So this gives us a quick snapshot of the implementation projects across the board and how they are. Back to the index. If we take a look at the project manager snapshot, here let's go ahead and start by again clearing all of the filters. We can see we've got 3 views: the project by individual project managers, the projects of the various statuses, and the projects by the various types. And we can see very quickly that the biggest type is the implementation, the biggest status is the in progress, and that our largest project manager volume is Vicky, because she has all those subs. So I'm going to come over here first and I'm going to eliminate the sub filter and repopulate all of that. So now I break down all of the projects excluding subcontractor delivered. I still have a good number for Vicky. That's probably the Intacct and sub. But if we look at this, we can see that that Danielle has 1,100 hours, 24 projects. She's got a pretty big backlog of hours. Bijou has a large backlog of hours, 1,400 hours. We can see that Justin has a pretty large backlog of hours. Very quickly can get a sense of where we are with the number of projects and their current hours. And we can further drill in if we wanted to see a little bit about what's going on with the various types. So if we wanted to say, let's take a quick look at the add-ons and the health checks, we can see that between add-ons and health checks, we have 81 separate projects, and we can see what the spread of hours are for the backlog and for the various projects. And it looks pretty much what we would have expected when you see that Amy and Vichy have the most projects that are in the add-on state. So we've got, and we can see where they are in all of their statuses. Flip back and let's go to the project manager detail. And the project manager detail really gives us a great way to take a look at the whole shoot and match down to the project level. So here we can see we start out again with our 376 projects. And we can either select and filter down by various project types or by looking at a specific project manager. Let's go ahead and pull me. So here we can see that there's 15 projects that I've got assigned as a project manager. I have some that are in the add-on services vertical and some that are in software and services. All of them are project delivery type of Intact. I've got various statuses of in progress, not started, and on hold, and various project types between add-on, advisory services, health check, and implementation, and tech support. If we want to get a better feel for what my specific workload is, the TS support are really purely a management aspect, so I'd go ahead and filter TS support out. Now I'm down to 13 projects, and I look at the 13 projects and we can see what they all are. We can see if there's a planned go live date on them, if there's a planned support date, what the percent completion is, a calculated percent complete, what their booking hours are, what the backlog hours are on them. If we wanted to kind of see what I'm actually working on right this minute, we could go ahead and take off the not started and the on hold, and we can see that my active projects are really focused on these activities. If we went ahead and wanted to say what's coming up, we'll instead go back to our not start. I'll clear all of the statuses and take off the in progress, and we can see that my not started and my on hold projects have pretty significant. And if we look at the let's take a look at the ones that are really on hold. So we'll remove not started, and we can see that really these are placeholders. These are a couple of projects that are on hold, no start date yet for them, and so I'm assigned as the project manager for the purposes of holding them. All of this allows us to very quickly get a great picture of what is all going on across the board, who's doing it, take a quick look at where we are in the status of it. To manage it, it literally takes just creation of one report and then hitting of that refresh data set in order to do it. And that's it. Something to kind of work with and leverage for extending the operational management tools that we have with projects that will have opportunities to share with clients on occasion.